Hey everyone, welcome back to the arena. I'm MD, joined here by Covey, and once again, a really special guest that we can't wait to get into. Love and appreciation to those that continue to follow us and show support back.
What's going on, guys? As MD alluded to, we've got another special guest here. This is Ray Kerr.
Yep.
Ray is a Navy SEAL. He's a bunch of things: a Navy SEAL vet, a peak performance consultant, motivational speaker, among other things. But Ray will be able to introduce himself far better than I could. So, without further ado, first of all, thanks Ray for coming on here and being so generous with your time. Why don't you just provide an overview of who is Ray? And how you
yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Ray Kerr, 51 years young, Baltimore native. Grew up the byproduct of pain. Had a shitty childhood. I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat it. And at the age of 17, I decided, which route do I want to take with path? So I took the path less traveled. That's the harder path. Not looking back. Married, 2 kids, got a wife I have no business being with. She's hot as hell. I love fitness, and I just have this ability to. I love meeting people and connecting with people and communicating with people, and I hang with some of the biggest names in the business, and I think the reason why they like me, and I think what I think this country needs, is just to be more fucking genuine. I don't bullshit. I won't act one way in front of you. Versus the only other person I act different than is my preacher. And he knows who I am because he follows me on Instagram. He was like, you need to cut it down a little bit. And I'm like, I know, Pastor Hank, but I'm not going to. So that's me in a nutshell. I don't like to consider myself a motivational speaker. I like to elevate people to the next level. I honestly feel that the problem with human beings is they feel that they've reached their max potential. My job is to help them push through that. Break that glass ceiling, and just I always say, do more, be more. PTFO, it's my company. Put the fuck out. Be a better human being. It has nothing to do with a sexual preference. More people just need to do what kind of like, our fathers and our grandfathers and grandmothers did, and that's just work harder. People think I'm successful. I consider myself one of the hardest working men in the room. Not the smartest. I didn't say that. I said one of the hardest. I outwork the worker bees. So that's who I am. So I guess this is over with. I just told you my whole life.
Yeah, no, I want to dive in. Thank you for sharing. I want to dive in a little bit more into you mentioned you just you put it very bluntly, you had a shitty childhood.
Yeah.
And what do we need to know about your childhood in order to kind of better understand who Ray is today?
Lots of abuse in different fashions. There's different levels. There's a physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial, physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, financial, and sexual pain that men deal with. We'll just say I'm a pain coach. I'm pretty well known with all those areas of my life. So now what I try to do is I try to teach people that you can actually profit from pain. So many people go around life trying to be the victim of their past, like this happened to me and this is why I'm the way I am. I'm like, no, if that happened to you, you should be, bigger, better, faster, stronger, and mentally more fit, right? Because I think fitness is physical, mental, and emotional. If you can learn how to control the rage, the anger, the doubt, the fear of your childhood, because, so many people try to just avoid it. I run to it. I embrace it. I mean, I know that sounds horrible, but it made me who I am. The things that happen to me, I make sure I don't do to my kids. And I try to make it a point to make sure that if I see anybody that, because, if you've been abused and for long enough, there's tail signs. So, if you meet somebody, if they've been abused, and it's all in the approach, talking to someone on the side, just saying, hey, listen, just want you to know that I'm the byproduct of pain. And if you ever need to talk, I'm here. And usually 99% of the people that know what you're talking about, they don't answer you right there. But it's funny. I'll get a text message, like a month later going, hey, can we talk? And I'm like, yeah.
What are those signs? What are those signs, Ray? Like you mentioned, you can tell right away normally.
It can be from people that are more isolated. I know there's people that are just like, introverts, but people that don't look the part like an introvert, but they're introverted. They're quick tempered. They may not even act or blend with society, body language. It's funny. Most men that I know that have dealt with a lot of pain are jacked and tattooed um, because they want to make sure that they're not going to look or be that victim anymore. So, some of the biggest jack dudes I know are some of the men that are suffering the most. And we put on this outer shell, you build yourself, you build the castle. But, you can be the king of the castle or you can be a commoner. You have this, a lot of us have the same problems inside internally. But we build we put up these walls, right? These facades. And it's just one of these things where I don't know if it's a connection, a feeling, it's fucking telepathic, but a lot of times you can just tell. And I think a lot of it has to do with just being honest. Like I get up and I tell stories of how I was addicted to this, and there's so many people when I speak that come up to me afterwards and say, "Man, I'd love to talk to you about that." And I'm like, "Talk to me about what?" Like, "Well, I've gone through the same thing." I'm like, well, "Why haven't you told anybody?"
So,
Well,
at what point in your life did you start to, because you're a pretty jacked and tatted dude from what I can tell here on half screen, but like at what point in your life did you start to view pain less as like, I'm going to be a victim about this, but I'm going to start to build that? And how did you learn that?
well, I don't know when I started to become jacked and tatted. Well, I mean, I know when I got my first tat, but I was 17 when I had that moment of clarity. Do you want me to turn this way? I have it this way. Would you rather have it longwise?
No, that's good.
Because if you put me long, my shoulders don't fit in an iPad. I probably less. It's. I'm 3 feet tall, 205 pounds, man. So I try to make it as best I can. But on a serious note, I tell this story on almost every podcast because it's like one of those. I don't want to call it an oh shit moment. It's kind of one of those not a come to Jesus moment. Just kind of. I honestly feel that. I'm speaking with men, right? But human beings, we deal with incoming, like ambushes, life ambushes. And every now and then we get hit with certain things. And sometimes it destroys us. And then other times it's almost like the awakening, that moment of clarity. But I looked in the mirror and my father was very physically abusive with me. And I looked a lot like him. And when I was 17, I remember I was washing my face. I snuck in the house back then. We didn't have alarms. We didn't have all the crazy shit technology. And I remember washing my face and just wondering what I was going to do with my life. And when I looked in the mirror, it's almost like I saw him, the reflection of him. And I was like, if I don't do something, because I was drinking, drugs, getting in fights, going to community college, and all I was doing, I'll be honest, like just chasing ass. I mean, I'm almost embarrassed to say that now, but at the time it was like I had no direction. And it was because I was just lost. I was just playing this fucking victim, angry, fighting. And I will tell you that human beings have an inner voice on one side and they have a demon on the other. And the inner voice is usually that it becomes that inner bitch. It tries to talk you out of things like, don't believe in yourself, don't do this, don't do that. But then you have a demon, right? If you have a past and you have trauma, what I've learned is people try to kill the wrong thing. You can kill about 90% of the self-doubt and self-talk, right? Self-sabotage. You can't kill the demon, right? That's what too many people do. Like, guys who are recovering alcoholics, they'll go out with their friends and have a drink. Don't wake that bear, right? So what I do is I've learned how to kill a lot of the self-doubt. And then with the demons, and demons are pain, the physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, financial, and sexual pain that you may have dealt with as a child or even currently, is you name, claim, and tame it, right? You name what it is. Like, I was physically abused or whatever it is. Claim it. Okay, listen, this happened to me, but and this is what I tell everybody that's listening. If you've dealt with, and they know, listen, I'm beating around the bush of what happened to me. Everybody fucking knows, right? It was a bad childhood. We can read through the lines. You're not alone. Wasn't your fault. And you alone have the power and ability to, like I talked about, rebuild. I'm all about the foundation, the family, fitness, finances, and faith. Believing in yourself is my foundation. I'm trying to create a stronger foundation. You can walk around, like this looking great or have the $1 million house, but if you have a shitty foundation, it's going to crumble. And that's what I see happening with too many human beings is On the outside, they look like this combat chassis, but on the inside, they're brittle and they're frail and they're breaking, they're imploding, if you will. So, fuck, man, I said enough. I'm not going to be this person. I learned how to name, claim, and tame that beast. Like, case in point, I'll give you an example because people go, what do you mean? Like, if you're a fucking alcoholic, like I have a buddy of mine, another SEAL is an alcoholic. Was an alcoholic. He's not anymore. When we go out, I don't drink in front of him. Now, he says I can, but because I don't need to. Like, I try to respect him that way. Or, like, if I have a friend that used to be a drug addict, I'm not going to go to a party where I know there's going to be drugs because I don't want to awaken that bear. I don't want to do it for myself, and I damn sure don't want to do it for other people. So I think it's all about knowing your surroundings, rebuilding, and it's all about reconnecting with yourself. Just because bad things happen to you, like, doesn't mean you need. Because so many people I see, like, I know you've heard the story, right? The two twin brothers had the heroin father. One's a heroin addict, and they ask him why, and he goes, because my father is. The other one's a multimillionaire, and he says, because my father and brother are. Right? Because you have the power, and this is what I tell each and every person. The mental fortitude gives you the ability to write your own story. Like, for the first 17 years of my life, it was a fucking horror story. And then I was like, you know what? I want to do they lived happily ever after. How am I going to do that? I am going to control and dictate my future. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. It was fucking hard. I loved it. All I did was, no matter how bad things got, I was like, well, remember that time that this happened to you? It's not so bad. It's all about the symbolism and I compare things. As an entrepreneur now that I guess supposedly makes a lot of fucking money, I deal with the same types of stresses. But I turn around, I look at that bell, I look at my SEAL picture, I look at pictures of my wife and kids and go, I turn right back around like I'm looking at you and go, I got this shit. And that's what more people need to do. They need to reflect on the past. I'm not talking about being fucking Al Bundy, living in the past. I'm talking about reflecting on the pain and realizing where you have come from, right? Like, some people are like, I only look through the front windshield. The rear view mirror is small. Man, look through the rear view mirror and go, holy fuck, look at that guy back there. Look how weak I was. Look at all the shit that I've been through. And then you go, that has put me where I am right now, because each and every person, you are where you are in life because of you. Everybody goes, no, it's because of my mother, my father, my surroundings. No, it's because of you. Now, if you're young, that's a different story. If you're 51 fucking years old and you're not happy with the way you look, get up and start fucking walking. If you're not happy with your friends, cut them the fuck loose. If you're not happy with your job, I'm not saying quit it. Start looking for another job. Build that resume, right? Be passionate and purpose driven. Don't go through life with fucking blinders on. But it takes time. It takes time. That's what people don't understand. I hear, how many people do you know that just go to the liquor store and they scratch off for those little fucking winning things? Dude, it's ridiculous. I see people, they waste thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Buy a book. Learn. Invest in yourself. All you're doing when people do the lottery, they're investing in luck. If you win the lottery, you're not successful. You're fucking lucky. I don't want luck. I want skill. I want determination. I want drive. I want passion. I want purpose. I would rather make $300,000 and do what I love than make $1 million and win it in the lottery. Because what do 90% of people that win the lottery do? They fucking blow it because they don't know how to control it. You got to earn that shit. Mm-hmm. You guys got kids?
No, I do not,
No.
nor does he.
Well, when you get them, they're a pain in the ass.
He's got a 2-year-old dog. I don't think it's anything close, but it's all really rich material that and really rich perspective. And I'm just curious, like, to go back into your experience as a Navy SEAL. I think that, a little bit after being 17 there, how much of that did you learn from being in that experience? Can you speak to it? Because it's such an exclusive population and an exclusive experience. I want our listeners to kind of be able to tap into, like, what were some of the first or more valuable learnings that you've had? Were there mentors? Were there pieces of advice that you were given? Can you speak to just some of that early experience and how that helped shape you into this direction that you've been able to speak on?
Well, from the early beginning, I mean, I didn't really know what a mentor was. When I was a young kid, I didn't know what mentors were. we didn't, I'm a lot fucking older than you guys. There wasn't like a lot of books and this and that. It's just a big can of, I had to learn how to just, drop the pity party and believe in myself. My point is to this is, you want me to be able to reflect and do all this, but nothing will happen to anyone, if they don't do this one thing, and that's believe in themselves. I have a shirt that says I bet on me. That's like that's what I say every day. I bet on me. I got boxes of them fucking right here. I identify as a cockweed, and I bet on me. Here's my cockweed shirt. It means I can't be killed. I'm half cockroach, half garden weed. I bet on me. How did this kind of help me at a young age? I honestly believed when I was young that God, I don't watch what I say, put me in all these horrible situations to make me the man that I am so that I could go through war and, buds training and, all the things that I've dealt with. Because I think there's, again, I don't want to get real religious. I think there's higher powers. Life is a test. And I think certain things test us. And a lot of people don't pass that test. You see it. You might have friends your age that are just, they're exactly where they were 3-4 years ago. Maybe just now they're a little fatter and a little the same. But when you really realize that life is a gift, you have to believe in yourself, and you can learn how to tap into your real inner being. I honestly believe SEAL training was, it was hard as shit, but it was one of the easiest things that I ever did because I was so in tune with myself, because all I did was I had something to look back on. A lot of these guys show up in SEAL training, basic underwater demolition, which is 6 months, and they would quit. And the reason why they quit is they had never been through anything hard before. They didn't know what to expect. I had already been through hell, and I was like, hell week? Shit. You mean all I'm going to do is be wet, cold, tired, and hungry? Okay, that's better than being beat. I could do this. Because they don't physically beat you in buds. Sometimes you wish you were dead, but that's kind of how it worked for me. That's how I made it intertwined. I wish it was something fancier, but it's not. I keep things very basic. When I get up and speak, I speak to thousands of people. I'm like, keep it simple, stupid. I'm very simplistic with things. Too many people make shit too complicated. Guys, oh man, what's, the physiological and the social, 6 months long, right? Give or take 180 sunrises, 180 sunsets. All I did was piece of paper, count them off. And then, people ask me, why didn't you, what was the big factor that made you not quit? And this is the easiest thing I can teach someone. I do self-reflection drills. I close my eyes and I envision. I envisioned myself marrying the woman of my dreams, which I did. Having 2 great kids, which I did. And then having a son and a daughter, and having to explain to them, because you hear it if you're in the Navy. Did you ever want to be a Navy SEAL? Everyone says it. Yeah, I did. Then I had to think to myself, would I lie to my son and tell him that I didn't go because I quit? Would I want to lie to my wife? Or do I just want to do what I did? And I just said, I envision myself. Whenever I want to throw in the towel, I literally close my eyes and I envision a red line going across my face that says quitter. Now, I run a course called the Q course, but I've quit I've reverse engineered everything. I quit all the bad shit in my life, and now but I've never quit on myself.
Well, I want to get into that a little bit because that's almost in some ways like the concept of discipline is when you're envisioning your future self. You traded today's pain and suffering for tomorrow's pleasure and reward. And, a lot of people I think will do the opposite we'll take going out and getting trashed and drinking for a night. That a lot of people say that you're trading tomorrow's happiness for today's pleasure. You did the opposite, and I saw that on your page. You're really big into what is called discipline, and I'm just curious, like, how that has served you more than just being able to build a family. Like, can you just give your 2 cents on how you view discipline and how you value
it? Well, discipline to me is just like you kind of hit on. It's the long game. It's discipline to me is I'm a control freak. So Discipline to me is I have to control what I control, what I can control, and control it for as long as I can. And people go, what does that mean? Well, I get up the same fucking time every day. I go to bed almost the same time every day. I try to eat almost the same thing every day. I have systems. I have, that are in place for me. Are there times when I don't want to get, like, I didn't want to get up and go to the gym today. We're looking at a big house right now. What did I do? I got up and went to the gym. The trick to discipline is seeing the long game, right? The long game. So many people are, there's passion and purpose driven, right? And they say, most people are passion driven. They're living off the moment, right? Like, you see a beautiful girl. Hey, let me go talk to her even though you're married. That may stimulate you for a second, but then you have to live with that for the rest of your life. That's not discipline, right? That's not having self-control. What life's about is being able to maintain a steady course for whatever that goal is you want. Like for me, I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. I did it one time because when everybody was out drinking and chasing ass, I was put in the work. I can literally, I have a gift. I foresee what my life is going to be like when I accomplish my goals. That's my superpower, right? I'm going to marry the woman of my dreams. I'm going to make a shit ton of money. I'm going to have great kids. And the healthier, the more that I work out, the longer I'm going to live. So what I do is I control. I control as much of the narrative as I can. What time I get up, what time I go to bed, who I surround myself with, what I put in my body. And not only do I do that, I don't just, preach it, I practice it. Because what kind of a fucking man am I? Like if I'm telling my daughter to make her bed, but I don't make my bed. What kind of a father am I if I'm telling my son he's overweight and I'm fucking overweight? So that's the discipline. You have to live by a code and you have to instill it every day. Like it's key. What are you two looking at each other for?
He was going to say something, or he had something he wanted to say,
Well,
I think.
yeah, and so just based on the concept of discipline now, right? It's like a paradox in a sense that like you have the same bedtime, rising time, you're eating the same thing every day. Like you're doing all the things, the input is what people might call mundane or boring, but then on the surface when people evaluate your life and they say this guy's a Navy SEAL, he's got a beautiful family, he's in good physical and mental health, like you've built something extraordinary for yourself on the outside. So when you're able to assess your life, it's extraordinary, but the inputs in of its own require like that mundane consistency. Mm-hmm. Well, how do you balance, reflecting on what you've built and assessing and avoiding complacency, right? Like, how do you avoid that idea of like, okay, this is good enough, right? I'm in as good of a shape as I'm going to be. My family's as beautiful and as built out as it's going to be. I've already been a Navy SEAL. Like, what gets you up in the morning to continue to act the same discipline that got you here?
It's funny. This is going to sound so shallow, but the fear of, I call it the Al Bundy syndrome, right? You guys know Married with Children? You ever seen that show?
No.
So Al Bundy is like a shoe salesman. And it's like a totally, like you can't even watch the show anymore. It's, like 80s show. And, he's a shoe salesman, but he was state champion quarterback, won the high school, had the cheerleader and all that. He lived in the past. For me, right now, if I died right now, the fear of me, what gets me up every day is the fear of someone going, he peaked and he went back to average. Like I talk about this all the time with like now the entrepreneurship, right? Like first time I hit $1 million, I thought I was a millionaire. I hit my mentors, Tim and all them. They're like, motherfucker, that ain't $1 million. You're not a millionaire. You hit $1 million. Take taxes out. I'm like, they're like, it's 2 or 3 million. Now I could easily look it up, but I'm like, what is it? They're like, hit 2 and we'll let you know. I am constantly in fear of dying, not dying like death dying, but dying and someone saying on my headstone, there lies a guy that was a Navy SEAL, and then after that, he fizzed out. He gave up. People ask me all the time, was Navy SEAL is the greatest thing of your life? At that time, it was. Right now, the greatest thing in my life, if you ask me, is my wife and my kids. Other than that, I can't tell you because I don't know what tomorrow brings. I could close a business deal tomorrow and make fucking $7 million, and that'll be the best thing that's happened to me in a while. But I know there's more. But too many people, and that's what keeps me going, the unknown. The unknown scares everybody. The unknown, I love it. It excites the
Oh man,
shit out.
it's
What am I
exciting.
going to do? Like, I literally walked across South Carolina the week before I'm playing a celebrity softball match. I fucking busted my hamstring up. I still did it. And people are like, why didn't you just not do it? I owe that not only to the veterans that I did it for, but to myself. You have to push yourself. So during that day, all that pain I was going through, if you ask me what's the greatest day of your life right now, minus the wife and kids, it was that day. Every day that I get up, it's like the greatest day of my life because number one, life is a gift, you know. Number two, the average human sleeps 6 to 8 hours, so that gives you 16, 18 hours to do two things: kick ass or get your ass kicked in. You know, kick ass, and I don't want that. I've had my ass, I've had my shit pushed in for like the first 17 years of my life. Pardon my language, and I didn't like it. And what I've learned is if I hold myself fucking accountable. You know, I'm not going to get up and talk to people if I'm not in shape. I'll get up and talk to people if I'm injured. I'm not going to discipline my kids for doing shit if I'm doing the same fucking thing. You know, I'm not. And that's what keeps me going. The fear of being average scares the living shit out of me. I'm 5'7", so I'm an average human being. I got a size 10 a foot. That's average. But I don't. But I hate that. Like, you know, I always say, God, I wish I was taller. We always wish what we don't have. But instead, like you said, I'm like, you know what? This is what God gave me. So now I'm going to add on. I packed on the pounds, put on the tattoos, you know, rebuilt from the ground up. You know, I'm bigger, better, and faster than I've ever been. I'm in better shape now at 51 than I was at 40. And people go, that's not possible. It is possible. I just don't stop. And
Yeah,
you guys are
and I
young.
think
You shouldn't either.
that that's a really good point of like we all want what we don't have. We all want what we don't have. But to your point on not living in the past but reflecting on the past, I think that can be a good way to kind of combat that. If you think about, wow, if I look back at my life even 2 years ago and look where I am now, like I'd be so fucking proud of this person that's sitting here
Oh my
today.
God.
And I think that's a really good way to instill a sense of gratitude for what we do have and not and less of what we don't. So I love that point. I also love the point of the so many people are the fear of the unknown. But to me, like that is so exciting. Like as long as you stay true to yourself and stay true to who you
Yeah.
are, like I don't know what my life's going to look like in a year from now. I don't know what my life's like in 5 years from now, but I am so confident that I'll be exactly where I'm supposed to be. And that's super exciting, even though I don't know where that is, as long as I stay true to who I am and
Yeah.
live and honor my values. And like that's super exciting. And I think that actually scares a lot of people, but letting
It
go
does.
can be one of the most powerful things you can do.
You know, I couldn't agree more. Like I said, you know, too many people in this. I'm only going to speak in this country. I'm not going to speak for the whole world. They wish and they want. They don't make and take. Right? Make and take action. Right? Become the savage servant. You know, everybody. The definition of a savage servant. Case in point. Do you guys have ladies or anybody in your life?
Single.
Jesus Christ, you guys, you fucking just a podcast. Okay, well, case in point, right? Like,
Bunch of great relationships, though. Bunch of good friends, like
but
genuine.
this is what this is how I look at life, right? Like I want to be a savage and servant. People think a savage is someone that just destroys and breaks and kills, but to be a savage servant, and this just so you guys know later on in life, you know, if you take a knee and you ask that special person in life, will you marry me? Right? Your job is to protect her. I don't care who it is, right? I don't give a shit nowadays whoever's doing what. But if you and I or one of us were to get into a fight, I'm going to put my queen and my cubs behind me. That's not because I'm a savage. This is what people don't understand. It's because I'm a servant. Because when I got down and said, will you? She chose me. I asked her. She chose me. My job now is to protect and provide for my children and my wife at all costs. But that doesn't make me a savage. That makes me a servant. So I use the same principles with everything. I have the savage mentality with everything I do because bottom line, we need that. People go, Ray, you're extreme. You're fucking insane. Tim Grover, we were talking about, says, you are fucking insane. And I went, and he stopped me because he's, you know, when he talks, you just shut up. He goes, but Ray, that's not a bad thing. I'm like, sir, I didn't take this bad thing. I took it as a compliment because literally Tim Grover tells me, you are me at 51. And I love it. And I'm like, I got goosebumps. And I'm like, it's fucking Tim Grover telling me this. I got his phone number. Like, because people that have it, they see it. They feel it. Like I walk into a room with the Andy Frisellas, the Sals, the Sean Whalens, and they're like, Cash. And it's because they know, even though I'm not where I want to be, they know I'm not settling from where I am. I mean, listen, I am perfect. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love my life. But there's nothing wrong with wanting more, right? I have a desire. You know, people are like, what do you need all the cars for? I don't need them. I just like having them. But I take care of my family, you know? I love being able to, and I mean, I tell you what, man, you're talking to a motherfucker that works 7 days a week. I got 2 phones here that I got to work with as soon as we get off this. And I have everything in place. Like, my family's dialed in, right? And that's what I'm so keen on is you can't be a savage servant alone for too long. Eventually you have to have the right people in your circle, right? I had a buddy of mine who just divorced his wife. And you know why he told me? He goes, because she wasn't Trish, my wife. I'm like, is there something I need to know about? You know, and he goes, no.
No, but wow.
But you as you grow and you become that savage servant, that mentality, the physical, mental, and emotional, you become that beast. You will outgrow people in 1, 3, and 5 years. If you two are hanging out with the same fucking people that you're hanging out with right now across the board, you've failed. I literally spring clean all the fucking time. People, places, and things. I trim the fat. As I'm growing, people are like, you're changing. I'm not changing. I'm evolving. I want and need more, right? And it's not about a monetary standpoint. This is what's so important. I know I was talking about the cars. Success is not money. I define success as helping others help themselves. But you can't do that until you got your shit dialed in. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. I see these people getting on social media and they're talking about fitness and they're fucking fat. Andy Elliott said, I want you to come work for me. Sales. I do sales. He said, show me your abs. I'm like, boom, I got a 6-pack. He's like, he will not hire someone unless they have a 6-pack. And all these people were bitching and, oh, I can't believe that. You know who they are? The motherfuckers that don't have a 6-pack. But you don't have, you know, he had one guy that didn't have a 6-pack. He did the same thing I did. He said, I'll be back in 90 days. He came back with his best version of a 6-pack. And people go, well, what if I just not built like that? It's the 6-pack mentality. Mm-hmm. If one of you tell me, hey, listen, I need you to get in better shape to come back here, I'm going to train you to go, and this is what I would say, motherfuckers, I'm coming back. And I'm going to come back and literally I'm going to rip off my shirt and say, listen, this is what I did in 90 days. And then you guys should say, this is what you should be saying internally. What are you going to do next? And this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. It's not going to get any better than this, but I am bigger, better, faster, and stronger because of you, and now I want to be a part of your team. And he's like, come on board. You got to have that, you know, killer mindset. You know, people are like, I don't have time. Here's the deal, guys. We don't know. That's the one thing that scares me. How much time do we have? All I know is, and this is the mindset that each and every one of you got to have too, because I know you guys look pretty fucking young. Every day that I get up and I work out, I honestly think I put a second on my life. Every day I don't, I take 5 minutes off. That's how I think. So whether I'm walking, push-ups, spending quality time with the wife, anything to get my heart racing, man, I am doing it to be better. You know, people ask me all the time, Ray, how do you stay in shape? You ready? I never got out. I never fucking got out of shape. I've been working out since I'm fucking 13 years old. Because physical fitness, your appearance, the way you two look right now, is the rawest form of discipline you'll ever see. Your bodies right now are your life fucking resume. That's it.
That I agree with.
I don't care. Listen, I don't give a shit who you are on here. When you met that significant other, you weren't attracted to her personality. You weren't attracted to his personality. It was physical. And then from there, you got closer. It's like the discipline. The nails are done, you know, taking care of themselves. But then the real work begins. Then you have to get to know the person deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's what life's about. This right here is I'm telling a story. Like, bottom line, they say college or military gets you a job interview. Bullshit. This does. You show up looking the fucking part. You show up looking the part. You show up early. My job with Bedros Cooley, and I showed up fucking 3 hours early. Early's on time, on time's late, and late's you're fired. First time I met my wife, we went on a date. I showed up 45 minutes sitting outside. You got one shot, guys. One shot at fucking, like, whatever that is. And I honestly am not going to throw it away. So, you know, when I show up fucking 2 hours early, something, people go, what the fuck is wrong with you? I tell people, what the fuck's wrong with you? If you start listen, if you guys have a job and you start at 8 o'clock and you show up at 8 o'clock, I would fire you. I would fire you. I tell my team, you show up 15 fucking minutes early, and at 8 o'clock, you better be fucking going. I got a guy that works for me, shows up early every day. 6 o'clock, you work till 6 o'clock. That doesn't mean at 5 o'clock, it means at 6 o'clock, you fucking, oh shit, I got to stop. Let me finish this up. I'm done. Because that's the discipline. Because if you can just do it at work, you can do it at home with your food. Because humans, we have 3 battlefields, the internal, the business, and the home field. If you can learn how to find discipline that overlaps all 3 of them, physical fitness is the first one, dude, you've got an edge. You've got the tactical and technical advantage over literally, I know this sounds horrible, over 80% of Americans, because over 80% of Americans are obese. I didn't make this shit up. I didn't. I go to the beach now and I'm like, holy fuck, what's going on? And my wife's my age. She's 51. She's built like a brick shit house. And my kids are in shape. And people go, I don't have the time. You don't have the time not to, motherfucker, because you're overweight. And this is what I tell people. Like, I'm a coach. People are like, I'm overweight. I'm like, no, you're fat. You're fucking fat. And it should hurt. Take off your shirt. If you don't like the way you look, then do something about it. If you don't like the job you have, I get so sick. The mentality I have is so many people are like, can't find another job. I literally got almost pretty much let go 5 days before Christmas. I found another job. I'm making 6 figures a month now. And it all starts here and here, man. That's it. And that's the secret. Like, people are like, I want to be a Navy SEAL, but I want to have maybe you guys want to have a podcast as big as Joe Rogan's, but there's no but. I'm going to have a podcast as big as Joe Rogan's. I will be a Navy SEAL. I told my wife the first night I met her, I'm going to marry you. She's like, that's the biggest load of shit I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. November 3rd was 20 years, guys.
Congrats.
Yeah.
On that point, though, because I was going to ask about this earlier, so like a lot of that sounds like it's removing that sense of self-doubt, that self-sabotage. And you mentioned earlier on that 90% of that can be removed. Like, how can give us some practical examples or tips of how we can overcome that stuff?
I love it. So this is what I focus on. I do my corporate training. I work in things of 4s. My 4 F-bombs. My family, my fitness, my finances, and faith. How do I do that? I literally evaluate myself every fucking week on that. Am I family? Both of you. Whatever role as a male you are in your family, are you the best at it? Fitness. Are you physically, mentally, emotionally as good as you can be? Are you as strong as you can be? Financially. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, which like over 50% of America is, it's because you're not looking down the road. Too many people are looking at the now because they're not happy. And faith, right, is believing in yourself. That's how everything I do is self-talk. I have a mantra that I live with every day, and it says, I bet on me. I'm telling both of you this right now as you get older and you start getting successful. Everybody says they got your back. Everybody says they got your back. And then as soon as you fuck something up, they didn't have your back. They were waiting for you to fucking fail so they can point their fucking fingers at you and go, look, I told you, it's happened to me. I cut all those people loose. But I got a wife and 2 kids that when we were struggling, man, when I barely could make ends meet, when I was working fucking 3 jobs, she still said, you're the greatest thing in life. I had friends that said, hey, man, let me lend you money. I'm like, no. What else do I focus on? Teamwork, problem solving, leadership, and communication. If you infuse those those things in life with your 3 battlefields of life, the battlefield, business field, and home field, literally, I can accomplish anything. Teamwork, right? Team. Trust, effort, attitude, mission. If you want to be a part of a team player, a team whatever, trust. Hardest thing to build, easiest thing to lose. Effort. If you tell me you're going to give me 100% of your effort, you're full of shit. Give me everything you have and give me more. 2 types of attitudes on planet Earth, good and bad. Nothing will open or close the door faster. And the mission is growth. And I don't give a fuck what your growth is. Just grow. Just grow. That's what I say to myself every fucking day. I get up every day and I go, I bet on me. And because no one else is going to. I have boards where I write shit down every fucking day. I tell myself every day, you got this. You got this. Like, you have to. You have got to create the internal dialogue of positivity, because I'm telling you this right now, There are forces of evil that run around in your fucking skull of self-doubt, self-sabotage, not knowing your self-worth. That's the problem with 90% fucking American males. I speak for males. They think they have no worth. And I'll give you an example. Do you remember the first time you did a sales call? Chicago? Sales call.
Yeah.
And you had to
Yeah.
ask for money. The first time I had to ask for a $10,000 or $20,000 sale, I was scared to.
Mm-hmm.
I was fucking scared to. Like when I first started speaking, I'm a $5,000. How much do you charge to speak? Isn't a word, motherfucker. How much? I'm $15,000. How much is this course? This course is $20,000. But let me tell you why you need this course. You have to build that dialogue of positivity in your head. Like, I don't sell. Here's the greatest thing I'll tell you. I'm not a salesman. I'm a talesman. I tell you why, as a consumer, you need my product. And if you don't need it, you know what? It's your loss.
Mm-hmm.
And I sell left and right. But I'm not selling anybody anything, right? Life's about telling a story. What is your story? My story is, I've been through trials and tribulations. I'm not going to be a victim anymore. I have killed 90% of that self-doubt because I literally say it every day. Get up and believe in yourself. My wife has one. My daughter has one. Every single coaching client I have, I make them come up with a mantra of the day. First thing they say when they get up, last thing they say when they go to bed. You can program the subconscious mind 2 minutes a day of just positive thoughts. Or you can sit around, right? Don't meditate, don't journal, don't do all the things that you need to do, right? Not journal. There's three disciplines and colors of life: red, blue, and green. And if you don't analyze and dictate and document what puts you in the red and blue, I guarantee you, the two of you right now and everybody listening, if you don't do that, in 3 years, you'll be exactly where you fucking are right now. You might have a different job, but mentally and emotionally, you'll be the same fucking fragile egg you are now. You have got to literally take risk, be extreme. I do, man. I walk into the room and people know. And some people think I'm cocky. I don't give a fuck. Too many people worry about what too many people think of them who have no input in their life.
Or who aren't in the
like
actually in the
Instagram.
arena.
Instagram. I get hammered for the shit I do. And when I take a deuce, sometimes I write back, it's the stupidest thing in the world. Who cares?
Can we go back to the red, blue, green piece? Can you
I love
elaborate
it.
on what that is?
Emotional discipline 2.0, please.
Yeah, can you just elaborate on what the three colors mean? And
Perfect. I love it. So obviously I'm wearing a shirt that's green right now. Green is where you want to maintain the discipline, the structure, the focus. You with me?
I'm with you.
Red is redlining, losing control, losing your shit, right? Blue would be kind of everybody knows David Goggins, a disassociate. You think of the pain. I'll give you an example. You're getting yelled at by a significant other for a certain amount of time. You know how you have that gift to just block it out, turn it off? That's going into the blue. That's what I do with the pain, right? When I'm running or doing something, I disassociate. I think back to where I was. But what I've learned how to do is I stimulate and control the red and blue in my life. How do I do that? Number one, I journal, and any person, place, or thing that puts me in the red or the blue, I cut them the fuck loose. My own family I've cut loose. And I'll tell you this right now, I guarantee it, I would bet you both $100 grand. You both have people, places, and things in your life that you allow you allow it to be in your life, even though it's wrong, that puts you in the red and blue. You do a journal for 21 to 30 days, and you'll see this, what's called an overlapping field of fire, a pattern of a person or a place or thing that puts you in the blue or red. Cut them the fuck loose, which gives you more time to then control the red and blue. Like, I was injured. I had to disassociate in the blue and walk 44 miles. What does that do when I control it? It increases my average of green. When I get panicked, I lost like $40,000 in a fucking business deal the other day. That put me in the fucking red. Holy shit, what am I going to do? Got to breathe, got to do your exercises. There's other business deals that we can do, right? I can't get that money back. I put myself in the red. I brought myself right back. It's like shifting. Think of it like this. Shifting up, shifting down, right? Downshift. There's times when I need to downshift. There's times when I need to upshift. But what I'm trying to do is run on all cylinders. So I'm trying to put it in perspective for people. I control. When you cut all the negative people, places, and things out of your life, that gives you more time to experiment internally with, how can I push myself today in the red? I'm injured. Here you go. I'll give you an example. You ready for this? Every day, take a nice shower, take a cold plunge or a nice shower. What does that put you in? The blue. You have to disassociate the pain. Every day when I'm done with you guys, I got to get in a sauna for 30 minutes. I'll do 500 push-ups. That puts me in the red. Then I'll take a shower and I'll cool down. What have I done? Mentally, emotionally, I have increased my green. I do the same thing with business. I do the same thing with my family. Me and my wife today, we want to put the Christmas tree up. I could have blown it off, but I was like, fuck, gotta do this, gotta do it. Right? So what did I do? It's attention to detail, because I have cut all the negative bullshit out of my life, where it gives you more time to be in tune with yourself and the people in your life to be better. But you have to control that. People are like, why on earth would you want to put yourself in the blue and the red? Because that's growth.
Yeah, and you know what? To that point, like, I love this idea of like voluntary suffering.
Oh, I love it.
Because there are going to be points in your life, life is going to punch you in the fucking gut when you least expect it at some point, and you have to have the mental and physical fortitude built up and the resilience built up through voluntarily doing hard things, so that when you do get faced with these inevitable challenges of life, the loss of a family member, whatever it might be, you've got the systems in place to be able to deal with it.
You two are a lot more fucking eloquent talking than me. I hate you both so much.
No, I'm just you're bringing
true.
up these.
Like, I mean, in my case, train harder than you fight, right? I literally, Tony Robbins said it. Winter's coming, motherfucker. Winter's here. Winter's always here. You gotta prep for it. You gotta be ready. The storm's coming. The storm's here. Have you prepped for it? Have you? And that's the thing. Going out and buying something is not prepping. Case in point, when it's cold out, I'm running. When it's raining out, I'm running. And everybody goes, David Goggins. David Goggins isn't the first one that's fucking run a long distance. And I love Dave. He isn't. He isn't. Right? I mean, it was a SEAL. We were doing it before him. He's just marketed it in a great way. But when it's raining out, I tell everybody, you are physically, mentally, and emotionally waterproof. People go, what's that got to do with anything? Take off your shirt when it's chilly out there and run. But I'm cold. Run faster. What'll happen? You'll shake. You'll get numb. And then two things are either going to happen. You're either going to stop because you're too cold, or what are you going to do? You're going to push through. You're going to run harder. And when you come back from that run, guess what? You're going to be hot. Because what you just did is you just increased, right? You just threw the coal, the mental coal, into the fire of your body, and you produced. I do this all the time. Cold plunge. Get in for 3 minutes. 301. Next day, 302. Next day, 303. When you get to a certain temperature at about 6 minutes and 40 seconds, you start pushing it. But I know what it is. But most people just get in the cold plunge for 3 minutes and they get out. What happens when you get used to that? You're not growing anymore. You're maintaining, and that's cool. I don't want to maintain. Too many people are like, I want to make $300,000 and maintain that. No, make $301,000 the next year, $302,000. Be a man that takes your family on 3 vacations. 1 because you can, or 1 because you have to, 2 because you can, and 3 because you're the fucking person that just does it. I do things like this. I'm always trying to find room to excel, right? Attack the hill. I want to do better. Everybody walks up the hill. Fuck it, run up the hill, walk down it. That's
so often, and whether it's goal setting or going into something that maybe we're unfamiliar with, we'll set our own ceiling with our minds versus what we are truly physically capable of accomplishing. I'll give you an example. I was actually sitting in a sauna the other day, and somebody talked about running their first ever marathon, and they mentioned hitting a wall mentally around a mile 17. Albeit they still finished the race. They still finished the 26.2.
Yep.
And, for somebody like you, what I get the sense for is like, you don't set a ceiling, but in some ways you can still set goals or mile markers. And I'm just curious, like, where do we go wrong with that? With, whether it's self-doubt or perceiving, this idea of like, this is good enough, right? Or like 3 minutes in the cold plunge every day is good enough. how does somebody like you measure success if there's never a sense of like, maybe I'm not understanding it correctly, but a never sense of like, I've reached the finish line. What is your finish line? What is your measurement of success?
Living life to the fullest until the day I die.
Yeah, I love
I,
that.
I don't know how else to say it, man. Like, and I'll tell you this right now, like, I've never run a marathon. I've been thinking about doing it. I got really bad feet. When I did that walk the other day, I hit tons of walls that said, just stop. No one's looking. You can just jump in the truck. Like, I had a walk at 11.6 mile leg, and they're like, hey, we'll pick you up early. I'm like, fuck that. Fuck you. That's what I'm saying to my team. No, I can't do that because I was somewhere else. Like, they were like, do you remember yelling at me? I'm like, nope. But then when you're walking and you're carrying the flag with a backpack and people are running out and giving you water because it's hot as balls, you're like, wow. That's thank you. So I go right back to it. No, I don't know. And I don't know why. What I can't understand is how people can settle.
Mm.
See, the question you asked, I'm the complete opposite of that. I'm like, if I know I can get into something every day and it gets easier and easier, yeah, that makes me better. But now what I have to do is I have to go farther and farther to see. I got to push it. Like, I don't think I'd be married 20 years if I just settled. Same routine all the time, same thing. I'm going to get up, I'm going to do this. Even, I mean, being rude, even sexually, you gotta mix things up. You never know, right? I love the unknown, shaking it up, moving it, but I'm more concerned. The question is how people can settle. I don't know. Like, I can't answer your question because I'm not wired that way. All I know is I know that I'm going to do as much as I can until I can't do it anymore.
No,
When I
that is
can't,
an answer
That
though.
is the answer.
That is an
Yes.
is
answer.
it okay? Because
Yeah, because
I
that,
just,
that's my answer. Like there
yeah,
is no finish line for me. It's becoming
yeah,
the not only the
okay,
best version of myself, but the most whole version of myself. And
yeah.
that's always there
You
is
know,
no finish line to that.
I agree. I tell people I'm going to run till I have to jog, and then when I can't jog anymore, I'll walk fast. When I can't walk fast anymore, I'll walk. When I can't walk, I'll crawl. When I can't crawl, I'll roll. And then after that, maybe it'll be time to hang the cleats up. But then hopefully by then I'll have somebody pushing me. I'll still do it. I don't know. All
No,
I know
that's
is,
right. That's right, though, Ray. Because think about it. If someone answers that question and says, "Success is when I've made $1 million," or "Success is when I get married," okay, then what? So you get there. You're 32
that's
years
when the
old.
work starts. I've
You,
learned. Like, that's, I think, the real warrior mindset. When you get married, when I got my trident, that's when the work starts. When you get married, that's when the work starts. When you become a father, holy shit. My son's 29, my daughter's 15. It never ends. So my thing is, if it never ends with being a parent, being a husband, being you, then why should it end with, because everybody puts the cap on the finance. That's what I'm always seeing in the fitness. Like, this is what I hear all the time. Ray, you're 50 years old, you're not as big as you used to be. Yeah, but I'm still lifting to try to put on mass. I'm still lifting to try to be more physically fit. I actually did a podcast with Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, who's a very good friend of mine, and she's my doctor. And I said, I love getting older. And people were like, what? You love? I fucking love it. Because I'm getting grayer. I'm the same fucking person I was, except I'm stronger. And people are like, yeah, but when you were younger, you were 220 pounds. Who cares? I'm running at my maximum capacity, man. I got the Dodge TRX at there. I'm running at 702 horsepower, the best version of me right now. Is that what I was 30 fucking years ago? No. I'm even better because I'm smarter now, you know? And how you see real savages, like I do a lot of work with Diamond Dallas Page, the wrestler. DP, boom. Guy's 60 fucking 8 years old. He created a thing where, all this muscle shit wasn't working, so he's got the power cuffs and all this other stuff on, but it's like, my thing is he's doing something and he still looks fucking great.
And
Because
that's
that's the
the
problem.
success. I mean, that's the
Oh my,
success right there, right? It's like what you're putting in. If you're putting in at maximum capacity on any given day in the here and now, like that is your measurement of success. And I love that. It's quite inspiring. I want to stay a similar topic here because I want to talk about your self-regulation now. And you mentioned journaling and meditating, and with the stigmas associated with mental health, a lot of what we try to talk about and help destigmatize, a lot of people are going to see you on the street and they're never once going to picture you sitting with a notebook and a pen journaling. Can you endorse or advocate or speak to self-regulation, your self-care, in a way that helps destigmatize like what a man like you
Mm-hmm.
ultimately benefits from.
Yeah. So I don't journal per se, just so you know, with a pen and piece of paper. I do it on the computer. I can tell you, and mine are simple. I journal what puts me in the red and blue, what time I got up, what time I go to bed, workouts. I keep it I have a system. But for people that, and this is what I say to people, right? The basic answer I give you is, how do you know where to go if you don't know where you've been? That's why I journal. That's what one of my mentors told me. Tim Grover said, how the fuck do you know where you're going if you don't know where you've been? I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, tell me what you ate 2 years ago for breakfast. What? Tell me what you worked out with 6 months ago on this day. What? Tell me what pissed you off a month and a half ago. What? I don't know that. He goes, well, then how are you going to grow? Because that's where I come up with this. How are you going to grow if you don't know? You need to know. You need data. You need to have a track record of your history. We have been documenting history since the day we were born. That's why we have libraries. We do this for history, but we don't do it for ourselves. It makes no sense. I mean, Christ, the Bible. That's the biggest piece of documented history we have. It tells a story. People will do this. We have the Declaration of Independence. Everything that we have is segments of life, but then people won't invest in themselves. That's the problem, guys. You have to invest in yourself. Literally, 5 minutes a day. Just write some. I don't write the good things like, oh, I don't do that. I write the things that like piss me off, or like mine's a very short thing, but I can tell you, like, I don't write what I eat. I write like if I had a bad day. Like, today I was feeling off the thing and I had like a big fudge sundae, felt like shit, 2 days later, still feel like shit. Well, I'll go back at the end of the month and go, well, I can't have a sundae because for 3 days I'm going to feel like shit. And then what I do is I do what's called an AAR, after action report. I do it weekly with my family, and I do it monthly with me. One thing that I can do better, two things that I need, one thing that I did good, two things I can do better. And that's how I create growth.
That's
Like
awesome.
work,
That
like,
takes a lot of humility. That takes a sense
yeah.
of humbleness, right?
Listen, if
And
you
a lot
go
of
in the
people.
gym, and you don't have a work, and you don't have something written down, what you're going to do, a plan, you're not training. You're working out. I don't go to the gym to work out. I go to the gym to train. Right? And if I want to grow, I need to know what works and what doesn't. There's a formula. Most people that aren't where they want to be is because they don't have a track record of where they've been. They have nothing to base it off of. I can go back 5 fucking years and tell you, like, when I was a monster, I was working this hypertrophy workout, but then I got injured on that and I stopped doing that. That's why I don't do that anymore. Versus, oh, let me do that hypertrophy thing. I forgot about it, and I'll be like, fuck, I had to get shoulder surgery because of that. Or financial stuff, I invested in this and I lost money. I know people that have invested in the same fucking company 4 or 5 years later because they forgot that they lost money in it. You're an idiot. Document it. Like, documentation of yourself, again, is individuals that want to create growth, because a lot of people like me, Tim Grover asked me once, and I'll keep going back to Tim, told me, what's the one thing that you're running from and running to? And he already knew what the answer was. It's me. That's what I'm chasing, the best version of me, and I'm running from that old guy. Most people are chasing something, they don't know what it is, and they don't know what the fuck they're running from, because they don't have it here to see it. They forget. Think of all the shit that you would forget if you didn't journal. Right? Like, case in point, I have a calendar. I have calendars. I have a calendar for my family, my fitness, my finances, and my faith. They're color coordinated. I hear it all the time with my coach. God, I almost forgot to pick up my kid. So let me get this straight. You have a calendar for your job, but you don't have one for your family? Jobs come and go. Families don't, bro. And when I say that, people, they're like, it's like a light bulb came on. They're like, wait a minute, what? Like, yeah.
It's really strong prioritization. That.
Of course it is. Listen, life's about prioritize, strategize, and monetize. That's all I do in life. Prioritize, I come up with a strategy, and then how do I monetize from it? And remember, if anybody's listening, they go, monetization, it has nothing to do with money. It's about growth. How can I create growth? Last night, I made plans to take my wife out to dinner. That's creating growth. That's stimulated conversation. Romance. There was a little, she had a drink. I don't drink. Fine. But That's how you keep that relationship going. You know, I
Yeah.
can say, I'm
Yeah.
buying
No.
my daughter a new car tomorrow. She has no clue. Um,
Oh,
Oh wow,
yeah,
Christmas
yeah,
coming a little early,
yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit. Yeah.
yeah. You know, and it's the car that she wants because when we go out and we look, and it's a year early, but I'm going to teach her how to drive in it because she can't drive in my cars because they're not suitable for kids that don't know how to drive in them. They're fucking fast. But it's paying attention, right? The attention to detail. Because once you got your shit dialed in as a human, as an entrepreneur, as a father, as a friend, or whoever you are, then your senses are heightened, and then you want to bring people in and do the same thing for them. Versus going through life with these blinders on, and you're only like a foot deep. You're so fucking shallow, physically, mentally, emotionally, because you don't know who you are. You don't know where you've been. You don't know where you're going. I know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going to end up. That's
yeah.
what's important.
Yeah.
But I know I'm heading in the right direction. The needle of success is moving in the right direction. That's what I say, man. Speedometer, boom, goes this way. I'm ascending. I may have to downshift. I may have to upshift. I may have to coast, but I will keep going that way. And that's what people need to understand. And people go, what? I'm all about trying to use the symbolism of things and cars and things that make sense to me. I can't sit here like an Andy Frisella and be super philosophical. It's not me. I keep shit so easy that I have nowhere to go but be successful. Or I'm going to fall flat on my ass, but I'm going to take the standing 8 count. I'm going to dust myself off. I'm going to get back up. Too many people jump up right away. If you get knocked down, you jump up right away. You're still the same fucking person. You got your bell rung. Even if I can get up at 2, I'm like 3, 4.
Yeah. You got to feel all that shit down
All
there.
right, everything's here. Let's get up. Let's not do that again. 8, I get back up.
Yeah, no, that is really good stuff. Ray, we're gonna wrap up, but you've already answered a couple of rapid fire questions, but I got one more for you,
Okay.
which is if you could have dinner with anyone in the world, and first of all, actually, before I say that,
Live or dead?
uh, either or, but Tim Grover, for those who don't know, is because we've mentioned him multiple times on this, was Michael Jordan's trainer and
Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade. The list goes on and on. Yeah.
on and on, just so people are aware. But anyway, yes, if you could have dinner with anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Shit. Probably George Washington. Just his strategic military planning, his dedication and desire to make America great, and the fact that I think that you've got him, and I watch how I say this. You have like Napoleon. You've got certain people, General MacArthur, who were probably the biggest strategist on planet Earth when it came to battle, and just strategically trying to put America on the map. I'd love to just sit and pick his brain, and just see what made him, because that's drive, man. Like, I mean, the things that he did and the conditions that he did them in. Yeah, I'd love to sit and dine with him and have a glass of wine and just hear his military strategy on life and battle and just go, wow. And, yeah, and learn from it, and probably more importantly, obviously salute him. He was fucking, and shake his hand and just tell him thank you because, I know right now America's not, we're back and forth with everything, but this still is the greatest country in the world. And, I honestly feel he had a lot to do with that, obviously, I mean, from
Yeah,
military standpoint, from so much. God only knows where we would be if it wasn't for General Washington. So, yeah, I think it would be George.
so you don't.
I can't believe I called him George. You don't call him
You don't drink,
George.
but you'd have a glass of wine with George Washington if you were presented the opportunity.
I would want to have a nice dinner and sit down in just a one-on-one setting. If I had the phone, I would want to record him. If not, I would be taking notes and I'd probably ask him, probably about 5 or 6 questions, and just get his thoughts on it.
Yeah, I love that. All right, Ray, we're going to wrap up, but I wanted to say just first, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story, and just sharing so much wisdom. It was very, very, very beautiful conversation.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I hope I answered all your questions in a
In a real way,
correct manner.
which is what I asked for at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.